If you feel shame, there's a certain kind of humanity that is still alive in you and an ability to course correct, perhaps.
I've made some mistakes, right? Who hasn't?
You have 24 hours.
I'm truly excited to talk to you, man. I love your work.
Oh, thanks, brother. Thank you.
And this is not exception, because one of the beautiful things about your character is that it goes to be so fancy to chaos, to totally madness, but still it has empathy for us as an audience. How do you navigate between these two different worlds for your character to keep with the essence?
Oh, that's lovely to hear. Thanks for saying that. I'm not sure everyone will have empathy, but it doesn't matter because I'm not talking to everyone. I'm talking to you right now, and you had empathy, and that's amazing.
I'm the audience right now.
You are, yeah. Man, he's not. I don't think he's fundamentally a bad person. I think he's incredibly misguided, and he's kind of at a stage in his life where there aren't many virtues you could observe in his behavior or how he moves through the world. He is, as he says in the script, when he has that moment's honesty with Dao Ming in the houseboat, he is a liar and a cheat and a thief, and he has an enormous amount of shame for being those things. So the presence of shame, as Alex Jennings' character says, Alex Jennings' character says that he's dead to shame, that Lippet, the character, is dead to shame. And Riley, Lord Doyle, my character, he's not dead to shame. He feels shame. And so if you feel shame, there's a certain kind of humanity that is still alive in you and an ability to course correct, perhaps, to make some changes. And it's not until the last 5 minutes in the film where he kind of has an epiphany and a realization, and he just is willing to throw everything that he thought would hold the answer to his happiness and the potential meaning of his life, throw that all away because he sees quite clearly the road that he's been on. But when he's on that road, and he's actively on that road for the majority of the film, he's pretty blinded by his own greed, his own addictions, his own sickness, But I didn't see him as a bad person, just as somebody who had very aggressively lost his way.
But he also loves to perform, because he performed for himself in the mirror. He performed for others.
Yeah.
And I think the character that he more connect with himself is with Tilda Swinton's character, because she's seen who's really he is. But also I feel that the movie is kind of opera. It just goes to different stages. How was that work with Edward? Because I feel that it has pop. We see pop, we see comedy, we see horror, we see like surreal. We see so many genres just in 80 minutes that I wonder how was that conversation with Edward?
I mean, Edward very cleverly surrounds himself with brilliant people within his crew. He has like Volker, who scored the film, Lissy Crystal, who designed all the costumes, James Friend, his buddy and genius cinematographer. So yeah, the look of the film, the feel of it, tone, the volume of it, the aesthetic, all of that were conversations that were being had between Edward and his department, and between me and, not so much me and James' friend, although I did observe James very closely, of course, choosing lenses and camera angles and lighting a certain way. But I had a lot of conversations with Lissy about the costume, but it was just a kind of a carnival of collaboration. I felt like I was joining in, getting in step with a troupe that had existed for some years and had been on the road traveling the world, because they had. A lot of them did All Quiet, a lot of them did Conclave. So I felt like there was this family together, and I was just sneaking in, which was lovely, and they welcomed me with open arms. But it really was, everywhere you looked, there was just brilliant people doing brilliant stuff, and it was extraordinary to be around.
One of the cool things about the movie, this is one of the few movies that I can remember, the colors are really a protagonist here.
It's a very vibrant place. The color palette of Macao is extraordinarily elaborate and bright, and it's not a place that leans into subtleties of design, whether it's architecturally or the interior design, the carpets, the patterns on the walls, the curtains. Everything is designed to splash and to grab your attention. So this film is very much in keeping with that energy that Edward wanted to emulate cinematically, what he experienced in Macao. And then there were other moments where, particularly the houseboat scenes with Dao Ming, or where she lives, where her character lives, in that complex of flats that are more real world and more recognizable and feel more grounded, you know. So Macao is a place of great contrasts, and I know that Edward was very keen to try and represent that with the film.
Colin, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, brother. All the best to you, man.
Good to see you again.
My pleasure, man. It's an honor. I have
too.
to read something that you said that really got me intrigued. You describe Macao as neon lit diamonds suspended between seduction and the abyss. How do you put those opposite, that contradiction? Because it's also pop and opera, and it's chaos, and it's energized. I was talking to a friend and I said, this movie is a third act from the beginning. And how do you put all this into images? What is your thought process?
It mainly came from the difference between the glamour, the supposed glamour of Macao, the lights, the fountains, the larger than life marble and everything. It's basically like a mise en scène. It's like it's like a mirage. That is there for the audience, for the gamblers to believe that life is grand. Yeah, but underneath it is this whole sort of abyss, especially in Colin's stomach, in Lord Doyle's stomach, because he's addicted to it. And so tug and pull between seduction but also into between glamour and the darkness is very much apparent in all the lights and the opera and the glamour and the glitz of Macao. And the addiction of his character is very much opposed to that. So I wanted to combine those two things and put it in an operatic kind of dress.
But it's also kind of attractive seeing a character at war with himself.
Very much, yeah. There's a big knot in his stomach, and the entire movie is basically about Colin trying to untie that knot and overcoming his, all his misgivings, all his addiction, basically freeing himself and redeeming himself from his past misdeeds.
The film uses kind of the Hungry Ghost Festival as metaphor, which I love that because I had to research. I didn't know about it. But also, it criticized capitalism so strong. This was like kind of on purpose while creating the script or discussing the script, or it was something ongoing when you saw where this character was going?
No, I think one scene became very emblematic, sort of as a metaphor for the film, stood for the film at the center of it, is when Colin has a banquet in front of him, steak and lobster and cheese and cake and bread and champagne, and he wants all of it. Like we want all of it, we want luxury, we want to have money and cars and houses and, great food and everything. And in the end, Colin realizes that none of it makes him happy. None of him can fill the void inside, and he needs to sort of start afresh and find his center, find his inner peace again. And that's basically what the film is about, like us thinking like in the world of, everything that is out there, that everything that is given to us, and there's an overload of, luxury in our out there on billboards, and we think all of that is going to make us happy, and we just have to realize that it doesn't quite. We other things like community and family and other values, probably that's where we find our balance again.
There's two beautiful scenes to me that it just stood in my mind. When he wake up after spending the night with a female character, and then mostly at the end when there's a beautiful no, and that no just resound everywhere.
Yeah.
I think that's the essence of your film, and just the contrast. It's just a beautiful contrast, surrounded by neon lights.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, just renouncing everything and really finding your inner balance again, finding your own spiritual center. It's a movie about a spiritual awakening. A man who is spiritually empty, in a spiritually empty place, is needs to finds his inner peace in the end, or finds the beginning to a normal path towards life.
And I think the only character that see that is Tilda Swinton's character.
Yeah. I mean, she is a wonderful, I mean, to see Tilda Swinton and Colin Farrell form their characters on screen and play with each other and give to each other, two of the most generous actors I've ever seen. And it was really, watching them was like a dance. Two people dancing with each other emotionally.
Edward, brother, you did it again.
Oh,
Thank you so much for these beautiful movies that you make.
Thank you so much. It's very kind, Ruben. Thank you so much. Very, very kind. Makes me happy.